Hi, Mark here from the Tangent Bound Podcast Network and host of the flagship show, the Tangent Bound Podcast. Did you know that we over at Tangent Bound are always looking for amazing podcasts to promote? And did you also know that we are also proud nerds and geeks of everything from movies, music, gaming, TV shows, and comic books to wrestling, MMA, soccer, and football? Whatever you can nerd or geek out about, we've got it. And if you're interested, we can help you find it. And if you're a show looking for a place to call home, we've got you covered. Side effects may include upset stomach, dizziness, tumors, shakes, and in some rare cases, death from excessive laughter. Though to be fair, it's only sometimes. Other side effects may include diarrhea, gallstones, heart palpitations, and strong desire for cookies on the dark side. Talk to your doctor and visit TangentBoundNetwork.com and see if Tangent Bound Network is right for you.
Life sucks to the last drop. Are you gonna blow your head off? Take good aim and don't forget to duck. Life sucks every Monday and all the way to Sunday, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't care how you're doing, what's up or how's it hanging. I'd like to buy this world one last drink. Life sucks all of the time. Stick it up your sunshine, and then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day.
We're not doctors, therapists, trained professionals of any kind, so if you feel you do need help, please reach out and get the help you need. We have a whole list of things on our files page over on Facebook at facebook.com/crazylifepodcast, and or just search on the internet for the suicide prevention hotline number, or go to NAMI.org or whatever resource you can find. But just please reach out for help if you need it. If you feel as though you're going to harm yourself or others, definitely reach out. And try not to be alone. Also, if you feel that way and you realize that you're writing a note or making plans of how you would do, like harm yourself or others, definitely reach out. That's a huge red flag. And lastly, please do not replace the idea of therapy with listening to this show. Again, if you need help, please reach out and get the help that you need, or contact us. We can try to help you find the help that you need.
Welcome to the Crazy Life, everyone. My name's Jen. I am your hostess for the night. I can talk. I don't know what word I was going for originally.
Tonight.
Yeah. Tonight.
No?
Tonight.
Yep.
You
know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, with that, of course, we have with me, as always, we have Hannah and Brian. Hey, guys.
Howdy.
Hi.
So how are you guys? Who wants to go
Great.
first?
I'll go.
Okay.
How are you, Hannah?
Great. End of story.
Care to elaborate?
No.
No. Exactly. I had a great week. It was really, even considering Thursday, it's like, got up. I still have to burn this, some PTO, and we were doing a company lunch, going out to this kind of a Bavarian style restaurant in Sun Valley Village, and so I was like, wow, that's like, he's not gonna make us clock out for that. It's like free money, but I'm like, God, I got to burn this time. And so when I got up in the morning, I got up my usual time to go to work, and I looked at the temperature. I'm like, 5.5. Yeah, I'm done. I was like, there's just nothing I'm going to do today when it's that cold outside.
Right.
So, and then I got online and I noticed that one of my other coworkers had called in for a doctor's appointment. I'm like, I got to burn the time. Sorry, it's your policies. I'm not going to feel guilty about this. I'll see you at lunchtime.
Yep.
And so it's great. I had a nice relaxing morning, went up and had lunch with everyone. I went to the gym first and had a great workout. And the next day, when my usual day off, so I had a little 3-day weekend, went and did a little bit of snowboarding, slept in, which was nice. I'm finding myself able to sleep in more lately. I still get up at like my usual time at 6:30, but I'm just a little bit better at just kind of blowing it off and going back to bed, which has been nice. But I got all my family Christmas shopping was completed right before we started this podcast, so that's good.
Yeah.
Everything being shipped off to. It's nice having mom be able to just, wrap everything for me.
Yeah, right.
It's just easier to ship it to her.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, next week or this week is going to be, a couple of Christmas parties, but, nice little, 5 to 7. And I got invited to our town Christmas party, which will be fun I was like, why didn't I get invited last year? And I was like, oh yeah, I wasn't sworn into the Parks Committee until January.
Oh, right.
Which is why I didn't go last year. Yeah.
Mm.
But I'm just, compared to where I was 3 weeks, a month ago, I am just night and day right now. And I'm running with it. What else can you do?
Awesome.
I feel I've actually, like today, I'm like I said, I got to burn through some time. So it's like I left work an hour early. I don't care who says anything about it because, again, company policy.
Company policy, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I really don't have a lot to do. Nobody's here yet. And I just I even said it when we were having lunch. I said, well, you don't want me taking this time off Christmas week. That I'm just going to, while no one's here, I'm just going to do it. So, came home, worked on put some more Christmas lights up and, tidying stuff up around the house and, just feeling and yet not kicking myself for wanting to just sit on the couch and play some video games, which I did last night for, I don't know, a couple hours and just rehearsed. I did 2 band rehearsals yesterday and holy shnikes, my fingers hurt, but it was so much fun. I had such a great time and I'm really looking forward to playing these gigs in a couple of weeks. And yeah, life is just feeling really good right now, and I just want to share that because we got to share the up along with the meh.
Absolutely. How do you recognize one without the other? So you gotta
exactly.
You gotta enjoy both.
And for me, it's also the idea of like I want everyone else to feel this way as well. Mm-hmm. It's again about I want to be attractive as a human being right now when I can be. If I can be uplifting to other people or be useful or feel good, smile, whatever it is, just, make somebody else smile because I'm bouncing. That's awesome. And I'm going to do that. So yeah, felt good today and looking forward to this week too. So. And with that, I will pass.
Nice. How about you, Brian? How you doing?
Not too bad. I'm still feeling meh overall, but I've been getting stuff done that I've been wanting to get done. But I'm at the same time I've put off quite a bit, a lot actually. So. But the last few days I've been, I mentioned this like when we talked on on Salty Language that I'm feeling like overwhelmed and it's no one's fault but my own. Like it's all self-inflicted, but I'm just trying to get as much as, these certain things done because of what I'm trying to do, overall, so it's been interesting because, when you have stress put on you from other people, it's harder to, or it's easier to, I have to get this done because this, like if you're at work, I have to get this and this done because that's my job. I have to get it done. When you put that stuff on yourself, it's, I'm fighting against the, you can do it later, or you can do it tomorrow,
The procrastinator.
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out, essentially, it's a delicate balance between keeping the pressure on myself, but also giving myself wiggle room. You know, like not being too hard on myself about it. You know, if I don't get something done. Which is interesting. I mean, it's almost like I have, you know, the angel and demon on my shoulders fighting over, you know, pulling me different ways. But overall it's been pretty decent. So, went out shopping yesterday a little bit, and it felt, I swear, the whole time I was in the store, I felt like every time I went to move somewhere, I was in someone's way. It just, every which way I turned, you know, if I'd move the cart up and out of the way, then somebody would want right where I am. So I'd move, like, you know, further up where there's really not much, but somebody would want there. And it's like, geez, it was like, I felt almost like people were just following me, like, hey, follow that guy. And when he stops, go where he, you know, like, go there. Yeah.
Go right next to him.
Yeah. It's like, geez. Which actually, it made me pretty anxious feeling that way because, you know, I don't like to be in people's way at the store. And it bugs me when people are oblivious to the fact that they're in other people's way, you know? And so it was bugging me because I couldn't get out of the way, you know, like if I didn't have a cart, I could have, but it was, you know, if it was just me, I could just move somewhere else, but it's harder with a cart. Yeah. So that was kind of tough to deal with yesterday, but I understand it, you know, there's not much I can do about it. It's this time, you know, this time of year, there's going to be way more people in the stores. They're going to be crazier than normal because they're laser focused on what they're doing, you know. I almost got hit by a woman in one of those electric carts, the scooter type things. I go to walk down this one aisle and all of a sudden she just throws that thing in reverse and goes. She doesn't even look behind her. She just goes. And I kind of, you know, luckily I'm known for my agility. So I, you know, hopped out of the way and I mean, literally jumped out of the way. If I hadn't, she would have hit me. And then she, you know, she just moves up a little bit. And I'm like, okay. So I walk around her as quick as I can and, you know, go get what I'm going to get. But then when I come back that way, to go back to the cart, I'm, you know, like I'm just watching her and like, snugging up against the other side, you know, just in case, you know, but yeah, that was, my mom and I just looked at each other and laughed because, like I said, that woman just she gave no thoughts at all about anyone behind her. And luckily those things make that beep, beep sound. Cause if they didn't, I wouldn't have heard her cause I was looking the other way. You know, luckily I heard that and I turned because it was really loud. So, you know, I'm like, this is close.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal, you know, but it was just kind of funny how that basically is the best way I can encompass the whole trip. That's basically how it felt the whole time. So it was
anxiety overload.
Yeah, it was nuts, but whatever. I gave myself my testosterone shot this week, and ever since I've gone on like a couple of the medicines I'm on, I still have, like, you know, I had that really bad shaking at one point. I still have a little of it. And from what I'm told, that's kind of normal. And that sucks. Like sometimes I'll be writing and then my hand will basically jump. And
wow.
Yeah. And it's like, man, you know, cause it's, you know, depending on what I'm doing, sometimes I gotta, you know, start over or whatever. And, so, you know, and you know, I know what I'm doing with the shot and stuff. So I get everything going, boom, you know, get ready, take a deep breath, boom, into my leg, you know, no big deal. And then as I go to push down the plunger, my hand just will not stop shaking. And the worst part about this is first of all, I'm jiggling the needle in my leg back and forth, but it was also up and down. So I get through it and I've got like a swollen spot where kind of, it's not bad. It's just a little bump. But it's a little swollen around that area and it hurts, which makes sense because I was, you know, all over the place.
Right.
But the other thing is, you know, last time I mentioned that I thought I wasn't getting the needle far enough in, and that's why it was hurting, because I had read stuff about that. I'm wondering if because of how it was moving, maybe I didn't get it where it was supposed to be, and that's part of why it's hurting. But yeah, I was like, okay, next time I'm just if my hand starts shaking, I'm just gonna sit there and wait. Cause I can't really stop it. The only way I can stop it is to like make a fist.
Oh, wow.
And then it stops. But even then, sometimes it takes a minute or so. It's really annoying. And I've talked to my doctor about it, and basically I'd have to go off the medicines I'm on, and even then there's still a chance that it could continue, because, these medicines change your brain and stuff. So yeah.
I don't have it that bad, but I do get shakes.
Yeah. It's really not that bad. It's just like you guys can see, it's like this basically.
Yeah.
And that's just enough, especially when you've got something jabbed into your leg. That's just enough to suck.
I've got more of the...
to put it lightly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. I've got more of the, I tap my feet a lot. I shake my foot a lot and do that type of stuff. So little twitches and little idiosyncrasies and little stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Ever since I've been on the brain altering meds, that's just part of my makeup now.
Yeah. And that's kind of what the doctor had told me. The psychiatrist told me that there's potential that, I may have to deal with these shakes the rest of my life. Even if I'm not on the medicine, it could be something, that my body's been programmed to do, and they can't really undo it, So, whatever. I mean, it's, not a lot I can do about it, but yeah, that was, normally it's just a little frustrating because my hand will shake when I'm trying to sign my name or something, and I'll just, okay, and wait a second, and then I'm good, Yeah. But I already had the needle in my leg. If I hadn't done that yet, I would have just set it down and waited, but it was already in there, and I'm like, well, I don't want to pull it out and put it back in, because that's not really sanitary, and I don't want to use another needle, so I'm like, well, I'm already in here, I might as well.
Power through it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, man. And the worst part too is it's not something you can even not that I would hurry, but you can't even really do that because the testosterone is viscous, and it's not like shooting water through a syringe. It is much thicker. Like I said, it's like shooting syrup through a syringe, and so it's a little harder to push, and my hand shake, it's like, it was so annoying. But whatever, I got through it. It's not, like I said, overall it's nothing horrible, but it's just not pleasant. Certainly doesn't make me want to do that again,
No kidding.
So, yeah. Just when I thought I had it handled. Remember last time? I'm like, dude, I got this. I'm a pro, whatever. And this time I'm like a rookie on opening night, Yeah.
How are you liking the medicine though, as far as the testosterone? You really feeling differences now?
Yeah, it's weird. I really don't feel like at first, like the first few weeks I felt, more energy, and just, it's hard to describe, but I could just tell there was a difference, Mm-hmm. Like I didn't get tired as fast, like I could, do stuff throughout the day and not feel mentally or physically exhausted. Whereas before that, I was kind of like, anything I do, like I'd go to the grocery store and I'd be done for the day. That's it. That's it, And now that's not, I'm noticing that's not happening, and I'm not doing anything else. I'm not exercising or anything that would increase my cardio or, my physical strength. So it's, I assume it's that. So, but yeah, it is interesting. Like I have to go back in, February, and, I am going to talk to him about that, cause I'm curious at some point. It's like, is this how I'm going to feel? Like, is there like a cap to it, or am I supposed to be feeling different? Because maybe I'm not feeling what I should be. I want to make sure that I'm not just taking it and not getting a benefit from it, basically, which
Absolutely.
we won't know until I get my, testosterone checked again in February anyway, but, you know. But yeah, it's definitely, like I said, there's ways that I do definitely notice, you know, a difference. So as long as I keep feeling that, I'm okay with it, you know, cause it's like, well, I feel a benefit from it, you know. If every day I just feel meh again and I don't have any energy or whatever, it's like, okay, well, something is either maybe I need a higher dose or it's not, you know, some guys just have no reaction to it. Like to where they'll take it and it just doesn't do anything for them. You know, it's a fairly high rate of guys actually. So, you know, but I don't think I fall in that category.
Yeah. So. It seems like you would have known that by now if you did.
Yeah. I don't think I would have had those initial feelings that I had. And like I said, I noticed within probably a week, like he told me it'd take a couple days, but I didn't notice anything really till about the week mark.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we'll see. But yeah, overall, it's, you know, it's been pretty good. You know what? Something that annoyed me this week, though, was I signed up for this thing that's supposed to help with like eBay shipping to kind of get everything in one place for you, so you can just print any labels you want right from there. And I had seen some people that were like, oh, you can, you know, eBay's page actually said, you know, you can sign up for this for free. And stupid me didn't think about it this way. And that in the world we live in now, when someone says you can sign up for free, all that means is you gain access to a website for free. It does not mean that you gain access to services for free.
Right.
Because it basically, you look at like any of the games that are like those microtransaction games. Or if you download, there's some apps you can download that they allow you to access something else. Like there's one called the Fight app. And when you have it, you can watch boxing, UFC type stuff. Well, not UFC, but MMA, you know, wrestling, different wrestling things, all this. And when I first heard about it, I was like, wow, that sounds great. And then I was like, as I'm reading the thing for it, it's like, oh, all it does is it's a place you can access them. But you still have to, they're a pay-per-view kind of thing. So you still have to pay, you know, some more money. And basically that's what this turned into. Like I got all the way done and I didn't see, so maybe I overlooked it, but I didn't see anything that said, hey, this is going to cost you money. And when I got done with the process, I have a note, like a thing pops up on my screen that says, thank you for starting your free trial. And I'm like, what? So then I go into the account thing, go to the billing, and it's like, oh, it'll be $29.99 a month. And I'm like, yeah, the hell it will, you know?
Oh, no.
So I immediately look all over the site for a way to, you know, to quit, basically, or, you know, to cancel my account. There's nothing on the site for canceling your account. There's not even a place on the site that tells you what to do to cancel your account. So I went to Google and I looked. And there's not really an answer there. And I'm like, okay. So I went back to the site, go through the help link, you know, and send a thing that was like, hey, I need to cancel my account. They emailed me back. I have to call them to cancel my account.
Nice.
Which is ridiculous. We live in a world where you can literally turn things on. Like the cable companies can turn off your service while you're talking to them on the phone. You know, like they don't have to, like they used to have to send a person out to disconnect it. They don't even have to do that anymore. They just turn a switch off. You know, they can give you access to other channels the same way, basically. And, you know, and then like this, and I'm like, man, they're doing it. And it's funny because I just read an article about how apps and different things are built to, trick us into doing what they want us to do. And one of the tactics was making you call during inconvenient hours to cancel something. And the hours for this place are not, you know, they're not inconvenient. It's like 8:30 to 5. So, you know, I can do it, but it's like most people are at work for those hours. I could see where that'd be
very inconvenient.
That's a very inconvenient set of hours for a lot of people. Luckily for me, it won't be, and I'll be calling tomorrow. But it just cheeses me off. You know, that, I don't like the fact that they don't have, like, they don't even tell you on the website, hey, if you're not happy with the account, email us at help or here's the phone number, call to cancel. Like most sites give you that. Like if you want to cancel your trial before this date, call this. And I went back and looked, and it's probably in the fine print somewhere. But when you're signing up for something, you're never reading like the 19 pages of stuff, It's my own fault. I take full responsibility for that part of it. But it's also really, really crappy of them to do it this way. If you're going to offer a free trial of your service, you should also make it easy for people to cancel, that don't want your service anymore. Or at least make it available. Make it to where they got to hunt all over the site and dig through stuff, but it's there somewhere, So, anyway. That just...
Fair enough. That's pretty crappy.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, my week has been pretty standard for the most part. The typical work stuff. But I did have the interview from the last time that we talked.
Mm-hmm.
I had an interview with a company locally. It went really, really well. And I really feel that the positive visualization helped me. I really think that made a difference. I felt more relaxed going in, even though I was wearing heels and I had to walk up a big old ramp and try not to kill myself.
Oh boy.
Yes, I don't wear heels very often, folks.
That was risky.
I don't have the strongest of ankles. I had to have ankle surgery on my one ankle, so.
I'm just picturing, the whole time, like you're doing the whole, like I was listening to a podcast the other night and they were talking with Michelle Obama and they asked her about, what she's thinking about when she goes to give a speech or whatever. And she's like, I'll be honest, the only thing I'm thinking is don't fall, don't fall, don't fall, don't fall.
Don't fall on your face, don't fall on your face.
Yeah.
That's
So like,
great.
she's like, all I hoped was I could get through the whole time we were in the White House without becoming a meme, basically.
That's great.
Yeah. So it's like I pictured you just walking and don't fall.
Actually, mine is heel toe, heel toe, heel
Oh,
toe,
okay.
heel toe.
Because it'd be my luck, like I'd just fall and eat it, and the person that's interviewing me would just be happening to look out their window at that point.
I will say the one thing, because it's a very modern building. It was built in 2016, so it's very modern. It has a lot of modern bells and whistles and things. So as I walk in, and I'm in a full suit, my heels and everything, and it had started to snow. So when I left the house, I was looking point. I was, my makeup, my hair, I was good to go. I get there, I leave my car, and I'm okay, not as on point as I was, but barely still good. I'm holding it together. So I'm like, all right, great. So I get out and I walk up and I get all the way there, and they have this thing that takes your picture to put it on a temporary badge that you wear.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, it's not the best angle.
Oh, of course not.
On the desk. So you have to kind of look down at it versus everyone knows the correct selfie position the camera looking down on you.
Yep.
You looking at the camera.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, my one doctor, the first time I went in there, they have a digital camera that's up. Then, and they take your picture, the first time you're in there, because they print it out, they put it on your file so that when they pull the file and you're walking back, the nurse looks at that and looks at you to make sure it's the right person, right? So, yeah, but you're right. Like, that's up above. I had to look up at it.
You look up at the camera.
Although it was funny, I saw a short woman that went in there, and that was interesting because she literally had to stand on something. Yeah, because it couldn't see her where it was.
Too high.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. But they couldn't do it much differently because otherwise, if you were like 6'4", or somewhere in that range, you'd almost be like, looking directly in it, so the top of your head wouldn't be there. So, but yeah.
Yeah, can't do everybody, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, so this one I was looking down at it, and it takes your picture, and it's like, redo. I'm like, yes, redo. And it takes my picture, redo. Oh, hell yes, redo. Takes my picture again, and then the secretary is kind of sitting there waiting for me.
Like today.
I am not walking around with this picture on me.
Right.
Nope.
You just keep giving it blue steel the whole time.
Each time I'm using a little bit of different, duck lips and a little different face.
Yeah.
Like, not happening. Well, finally, I got one that was like, I'm like, all right, I'm just going to have to suck it up and deal with this. So I'm like, fine, accept. Blink, computer goes off. And she's like, what's it saying now? I'm like, it's a home screen. It's not
probably says card full. That's what it says.
No, it decided the picture was not going to print. So
nice.
She hands me a temporary one. I broke the camera. I was so attractive. No.
What would have been great is if she like just drew a face, like just a smiley face or whatever. Like, here you go. On a Post-it. She's like, there's your temporary badge.
No, I mean, it was a badge with my name on it because she had to manually type my name in, which my name, I'm not going to give my full name here, but my name is quite long and cumbersome. It's got V's and Z's and all sorts of great letters
There's
in
there. There's a lot of letters.
Yeah, pretty much a lot of letters. But so she had to type it out, and I had to pronounce it a couple times for her, and I had to spell it out, and so she's manually typing the whole thing in, and finally get my badge, and I'm like, great. So I get my badge, and I put it on, and I sit down, and as I'm sitting there, it's a one-button coat. So all that's going through my head is, I'm sitting down. Do I unbutton my coat? Do I button my coat? Do I leave my coat buttoned? Do I not leave my coat buttoned? I mean, all of this little minutiae is just bopping in my head.
That's actually a good idea. I don't know if the rules or not rules, but the norm is different for women than men, because when a guy sits down, you generally unbutton because, otherwise it looks, the suit usually bunches up in the chest area kind of a thing and it looks goofy. So you unbutton so that the coat can lay down. Then when you get up, you button your jacket back up to, keep the the shape.
So I decided instead of worrying about that, I was going to stand. So then I was standing.
And there you go. That'll solve it.
Yeah, I solved the problem. I stand up. So I'm like standing there and I'm looking at the thing, and then I got the heels. So I'm like, don't wobble in the heels, don't wobble in the heels, don't wobble in the heels, don't wobble in the heels. Okay, as I'm looking here, so I'm trying not to get nervous, and I have all my paperwork and stuff. And so I get to the guy. So the guy comes out and greets me, and completely cool. He had no coat on. I don't even think he had a tie on. I think it was just a button up and slacks and stuff. So he's real relaxed. And he's just wanted a casual, just a meet and greet type of a thing. He's like, I have a couple questions for you. You can ask me a couple questions. Just keep it a real casual. And I'm like, oh, great. So we sit down. Great interview. I felt very comfortable. We had a really good exchange of information back and forth between the two of us. My questions that I had were right on point. You never quite know when you prepare questions for them, where the conversation's going to lead. And it just so happened that my questions kind of lined up with the conversation that we had already going. Nice. So it was very smooth transition. And he actually, I even got kind of like an eyebrow raise out of a couple of the questions because they were so on point and kind of right along with what he was thinking. I mean, it was just, we were gelling. So I'm like, this is great. This is great. This is great. In my head, I'm getting all psyched up and stuff. He's like, all right, next step, panel interview. All of a sudden, everything in my head went, I can't say the word here, but
darn.
Because this is everything went caca, shall we say. I'm like, this is not what I want, because I am not a fan of panel interviews. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's basically exactly what it sounds like. You got 3 or 4 people sitting across from you, staring at you as you answer each one of their questions in rapid fire succession.
Basically, like if you watch someone on being questioned by like a committee for Congress or something, where they're sitting there and there's just like all these people asking you stuff. Yeah.
And each one of them is writing notes and judging you at the same time. So it's a great time, let me tell you, folks. So I am looking forward to, but not looking forward to that next hurdle. But hopefully they should be calling me in the next week or so to get that set up. But yeah, I mean, of course he couldn't tell me for sure 100% that I was getting to that point, to the next level, but he seems to feel fairly confident that I will. So I feel fairly confident that I will. And that's all I can hope for, and everything at work is going about the same. There's some hurdles there that are still being hurdled, as we should say. Still working on hurdling over some of that stuff. But with my grace of a gazelle that I have.
In heels.
Trying to, remember to button or unbutton. All the little things that go through our minds, let me tell you. But the best part about it, not once did it go through my mind, oh, that was dumb.
No, that's great.
I not once the entire experience from start to finish did I berate myself, did I say things that were inappropriate and mean to myself. None of that. I didn't tear myself apart. I didn't even come close to going down those paths, which is a huge, huge success for me. Usually that doesn't happen. Usually I will sit there and dissect every little thing from the minutia of my heels were clicking too loud to that was the dumbest question ever. How could you not answer it correctly? So yeah, that was my big win for the week, was the fact that I actually was kind to myself.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good.
So, so that's been my week. And then,
well, hold on really quick. I just looked while we've been talking here to see what the official rule is or whatever for women in suit coats. And apparently it's pretty well set for men. Like I said, when sitting, unbutton, stand up, button it. For women, apparently it's more of a how you look or how you feel about it. Like if you feel it bunching or are afraid of it wrinkling, then unbutton. If you feel fine or whatever, you can leave it buttoned, I guess. That's, and I read 7 different things and they all pretty much are
So I'm going to go a little bluer than usual on this podcast and say, if you're a larger chested woman and it's cold, leave the coat jacket covered and buttoned.
That's probably good advice. I mean, that goes for guys too. If you're a larger chested man,
Yes, if you're a larger chested man and it gets a little cold, leave the jacket buttoned and covered.
If you're an ample bosomed man.
Yes, there you go.
Or a sturdy woman,
That's right, sturdy woman. Stout.
Mm-hmm.
Before we go, I'm going to go completely off topic here for a minute and just say there's a holiday trend starting that I don't know if you guys are aware of this or not, but they're holiday sweaters with a hole cut out for the chest to peek out, and you decorate it with a little pom-pom, and you make it, look like a Santa or a snowman or a reindeer.
Okay.
Yeah. No, people. I'm just putting it out there. I'm going to do it on both my podcasts. No, people.
But
no.
What if I want to show off my burly chest hair and yet look festive?
With some ornamentation.
No, don't do it, folks.
Yeah.
So for those of you who just spit your coffee, yes, it's a real thing, and no.
Wow. I have not seen this, but wow.
I don't object to this.
I do completely. Google it. It's actually, some of them are pretty hilarious. The styling.
Ugly sweater party.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And it's always only one.
Mm-hmm.
You don't do both because both is too much. That's over the top.
Right.
So you can you got to be classy about it.
Right.
Okay.
My favorite was a thing I saw on Reddit a couple years ago where a guy said he was going to an ugly Christmas sweater party, and he's a very hairy man, and he just shaved a Christmas tree in his chest and just went. I was like, now that's perfect.
Yeah. That's classy.
Yeah.
So on that note, sorry to derail us for a minute, but Hanno, I think you have our topic for tonight, right?
Yes, I do, with the best title ever. 'Tis the season to be triggered.
Yay, triggering.
Well, trigger's one of Santa's reindeers, isn't it?
Yeah. Wait
a minute, that's not a yay.
Or 'tis the season to be trigger, which means you're a horse.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now, for those of you who weren't born before 1960, Trigger was a horse. Okay.
I know.
Was he a horse? Of course.
You know, that was
a different horse,
Ed.
of course.
That was Ed.
Yeah.
Not just Ed, it was Mr. Ed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my bad. Gotta be formal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's Mr. Ed to you, buddy.
Yep.
So our subtitle, or what do they call that again? Oh, I just spaced it. You know, you have your title and then the one underneath. Anyhow.
Yeah.
It has a name.
It does, and I can't.
3 things you can do to develop resilience. This is from Psychology Today, and this is written by her name is Maria Barata. She's had some work done. I shouldn't have said that. That's horrible. She has a PhD. That's better.
Yep.
She's an LCSW also, which
Sure.
social license counselor, social. Anyhow, I'm just guessing.
Yeah, it's these people go to school for all these letters. I don't know what any of them mean,
Yes.
but they just get all these letters at the end of their name.
This one's not Scarlet. They're okay.
No. Exactly. So, quick paragraph. New and old relationships carry with them the potential to trigger emotional pain. No one is immune from that. Being triggered is a reality of life. Out of nowhere, people can say or do something that precipitates an emotional ouch. When I was about 4, I went to the park with my grandmother and remember her telling me to go make friends with the nearby children. So I did go off and went up to this little boy nearby where we were sitting and said, "Hi, will you be my friend?" And within seconds, he hit me in the face. Hard. I never forgot the incident. I can still remember thinking, that sucks. What was that about? And no, the lesson is not don't approach strangers, but rather that out of nowhere, people can behave in surprisingly hurtful ways. As a therapist, I get to hear all kinds of stories about painful stuff happening to people all the time and spend many therapy hours helping people process the pain. When I hear about all sorts of yucky things that people experience, I often wonder, what was that about? The reality is that stuff like that happens to everyone plenty of times in life. Not exactly getting literally hit in the face by a stranger, but symbolically out of nowhere, people doing hurtful, mean things seemingly out of nowhere. And during the holiday season, people seem to possibly feel it more. So she goes, no. So what can you do when people say or do mean, insensitive, unprovoked things to you?
It's a great question.
It's a great list.
I mean, cry. That's it.
Insensitive and unprovoked. Yeah. What's it like to? What do you do when you get emotionally kicked in the crotch? Okay, here are 3 things that you can do to develop resilience. Number 1, acknowledge that it hurts and care for your wounds. That means paying attention to the fact that something hurt you. And it might take a little time to feel better about it. Take time to share that with someone. That's, I think, really important, is to actually talk about it.
Yeah.
Because most of the time when something happens like that out of the blue, you're usually just kind of too shocked to do anything about it. And a lot of times, like, I've been happy when, and I've shared on here where somebody said something to me and I did not process and react to it right at that time. And I'm happy I didn't, because it was a bad place, a bad time. But it was the next day that I realized it. And it's like, oh, wow, that really hurt. I have a resentment. I should talk about this.
But I've also been known to say ouch, like physically say ouch when someone will say something that's like real sharp. And it's like a involuntary reaction. I'm like, ah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's not bad. That's actually even though it does put it back on that other person, if that person has any sort of sense of self-awareness and compassion, they'll hear it.
Yeah.
If they don't, then you're probably better off not talking to them anyway.
Exactly. And that's usually what happens is it triggers them to go, oh, well, wait a minute. Maybe I didn't mean it quite like I said it, and starts a conversation between the two of us, which is exactly what should happen, and whether the conversation happens immediately or happens a little bit down the road, I think that's the whole point, is make sure that the conversation happens let them know. And if you can. And
this is and one thing about these 3 tips, these are tips for like I said, if I only have control over myself, share about this all the time. I can't control other people's behavior. So this is a way for me to develop ways to handle things when I can't change somebody else's behavior. Mm-hmm. And number 2 is to give yourself time to think about what you want to do about it. Quick reactions might not be the best way to handle a situation. Why and how we react are things that are best worked through in therapy, since we humans and our behaviors are complicated. Reactions sometimes need to be thought through since behaviors have consequences. A timeout to think about what just happened can help. And we've already kind of talked about that, and I totally agree with that, because there's just that whole idea of doing nothing is an action. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Pausing is an action. You know, there's this instinctual desire to do something immediately, but it really doesn't have to happen that way. Mm-hmm. You know, giving you a little bit, and this is I share with people that I'm working with in 12-step programs is, you know, one of the great things about taking action rather than reacting is it gives us an opportunity to go into a situation, if we decide to do something about it, with all of our senses at the ready. Mm-hmm. Whereas when I know for myself, when I react, I have a tendency to choose poor words. My tone of voice could be bad. I'm walking into a boxing match with one hand tied behind my back because I'm not acting, I'm reacting. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the third one is be nice to yourself. Self-care is essential. Behave like a best friend to yourself. Think of things you can do to be kind to yourself and do them. Resilience is the ability to bounce back during adversity. Being able to count on yourself is essential. So holidays can be great, but keep in mind that if you're struggling or triggered by someone else's hurtful behavior, you're not alone, and reaching out for extra support might just be the thing to do. 'Tis the season to be extra kind to yourself. It's a present you won't get from anyone else. And I think that's great advice. One of the things that this reminds me of is a common saying in Alcoholics Anonymous, and their book is about it's a story about a sick friend, and how when somebody acts outwardly towards us, if we can view them as that this person has an illness, and I like to equate it to, if I went to the hospital and you were in there having some sort of a treatment that made you extremely nauseous and you suddenly threw up on me, I wouldn't lose it at you. I wouldn't get angry. I would simply say, I'm sorry, no problem. I just wipe it off and I go to care for my friend again. And I think sometimes these types of outbursts that people have is the equivalent of just basically emotionally barfing.
It could be. You're right.
Right? And how would I treat my sick friend? Well, I can treat this person the same way, with some love and some compassion. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't take it personally. It wasn't directed at me. It's not a permanent thing. This is a temporary thing. This is a moment. And if I'm taking good care of myself and if I'm in a good place, I should be able to just wipe it off and say, hey, it's okay. Mm-hmm. Don't worry about it. And it really, again, brings the control back to me and my attitude in life. And how do I want to go on? How do I want to feel the next day when I wake up?
Yeah.
Do I want to wake up feeling like I got combative with somebody who is maybe having an emotional bad day? Or do I want to wake up thinking, wow, I hope that person's doing better today, and not feel guilty about how I reacted to somebody?
And it's finding that balance, because you can also go too far the other direction and forgive, and the person continues doing the same actions. Mm. So you want to be compassionate and forgiving and be the person you want to be and that you're proud of being, but also understand kind of what you've always been talking about, Hannah, which is, you can only control you. Yeah. So, start to examine if this is a consistent trend, maybe some things need to be re-examined.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's time for a timeout. Maybe it's time for a break. Maybe it's time for a deeper conversation, or
a separation.
Point, yeah. making those decisions, you can only control you. So, you can't make them stop. You can't make them do anything.
Yeah.
You can bring it to their attention to give them opportunities to make changes, but you can't force them to change themselves. Only change you.
One of the key things with this that I always forget to talk about when these kind of topics come up is, okay, well, how do you do this? How do you, besides these tips here, like, how do you develop the ability to just to absorb it, to take it, and to not overreact? And it comes back to some real basics. A person that's full of gratitude cannot harbor resentment, and I truly believe that. When I'm really in gratitude for my, the bounty that I have in my life, it is not easy for me to harbor resentment. That stuff just brushes right off of me because I feel good. And that's why these little tools of like gratitude lists, finding the, simple things, find simple happiness, little things that you can grab onto, especially if you do have, and I know for a lot of people, holidays can trigger very bad memories, especially when you've had deaths in families and things like that around the holidays. They just stick. And you're already in a place where you're emotionally weaker than you would any other time of the year. And sometimes those core little routines are the best thing you can do to not end up getting triggered by somebody that may do something that has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the last one that I was reminded of is that the whole thing where if somebody does something really crummy to you, he's just, oh, aren't you the sweet thing?
Oh, Southern. Aren't you special?
Go down to the South. Aren't you a special thing? Thank you.
Bless your heart
better
move.
Day today.
Yep.
That's the other one.
Bless
your heart.
Yep.
Oh, yes.
Especially if you live anywhere where there's tourists. Look, seriously, I another one that some of my friends talk about all the time is like, hey, it's looking like a horror movie, turn into a comedy.
Nice.
So that's what we got for our topic.
I love it. I love it.
We'll grab a link for this if you want to see this woman's picture. Did I say that again? I'm terrible.
Henno.
Bad Henno.
Better be careful, man. Santa's not going to bring you anything.
I know.
I'm so, on the naughty list.
Yep.
Proudly.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, I guess, guys, are we good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Well, on that, folks, if you would like to carry on and continue that conversation with us, we would love to hear from you. So if you want to, I lost my train of thought. If you want to continue the conversation,
it wasn't apparent at all.
No, I completely covered. So smooth. I'm telling you, like peanut butter, just smooth.
Yeah. Well, the listeners won't notice because this will all be edited out anyway.
Oh yes, our great editor will jump in and edit me. I appreciate him so.
Yep.
With that, folks, you can reach me on. You can reach me on Twitter at Jen's Crazy Life. That's Jen with the G. You can reach the show on our website at thecrazylifepodcast.weebly.com. You can reach us via email at thecrazylifepodcast@outlook.com. And Henno, how can they reach you?
If you are feeling triggered and would like to talk about it with someone, I'll be all ears. You can find me on Twitter at IdaHenno. You can direct message me there or just tweet at me your triggering event. Maybe use the hashtag triggered.
I love it. Hashtag triggered.
That probably won't work because I'm sure that's already a heavily used hashtag.
Probably. Yeah. How about twas triggered? Or you can find me on Facebook at Henno Heiter. You can always message me there or find if you're not my friend, you'll have to send me a message. So that's all there is to it. Yep. Oh, and we're going to have our last review of the first season of Orville will be out this week. So if you do follow the show, we will have the episode 12 review of the Orville on the Orville Lights. You can look for it look for the Orville Lights or Gotham Lights podcast.
Mm-hmm. Fabulous. And Brian, how can they reach you?
You can find me on Twitter at Stunami. You can find my other podcast, Salty Language, at salty_language or at saltylanguage.com. That show is not safe for work. You can also find this show on Twitter at, I lost the spot. There it is. The Crazy Life Pod, where I post when new shows go up. You can find us over on Facebook at facebook.com/group/crazylifepodcast, which people should go join.
Absolutely. We're lonely
people aren't
there.
Joining. Yes.
Do it.
Makes me sad.
You don't want a sad Brian. You want a happy Brian.
So sad.
Join us.
We're part of the Tangentbound Network, which can be found at tangentboundnetwork.com. And so go check out some shows over there. You may find some others that you're interested in or whatever. Wow, I feel like I'm forgetting a link here and I don't know what it is. Nope, I guess not. It looks like everything, so whatever. If you need any links, they're in the show notes, so if I did miss anything, they're there. Make sure, as we've talked in the past, if you need help, please reach out to somebody. Whether it's a, family, friend, one of the, suicide prevention numbers, the crisis lines, just try not to be alone. And, please reach out for help. There's tons of people out there willing to help you. They're just, honestly, they're literally waiting for you to call or reach out. So, I know it's the most difficult step, but, we believe in you. You can do it. And is also reach out to your, to people in your life, especially if you know that they're, going through a rough patch, because like Henno said, this time of year does bring back a lot of, things in people, it makes me sad to an extent because I lost my dad, and it just doesn't feel whole anymore. Like Christmas just doesn't feel like it used to, So if you know people going through stuff like that, reach out to them, but also reach out to your friends that tell you everything's fine and all that, because, as I've said before, a lot of times that is the most used mask by depressed people, because they think that, they don't want to be a burden to someone else. And then, also, just as Jen mentioned earlier, be kind to yourself, be kind. Just no matter who it's to, yourself, others, whatever. Just, do what you can to put kindness out into the world, because there's way too much hate going on right now.
Absolutely. So be kind and, I can't say be kind without saying
rewind.
Please rewind.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
I worked in the video store.
Being a little silly tonight,
Nope.
But definitely be kind, put the happiness out there into the world, and just enjoy your week.